I'm really sorry to put you guys up to this. You already helped me out more than enough yesterday. No problem, don't sweat it. This must be the kind of breaking news every press photographer dreams of being on the scene for. Still, it bothers me. How is it possible that both the Imperial and Republican bases were attacked at the same time? Do you think one attacked first and the other swiftly retaliated? No time to think about that right now. We need to hurry. We need to get to Zendigate as fast as we can. Right. Whoa, don't ride too roughly.
That's one of the Imperial Army's airships.
This situation is looking worse by the minute.
We need to hurry.
Those are armored cars from the Imperial Army.
Damn, this isn't looking good.
Same day, 10 a.m. Looks like the Imperial Army's 3rd Armored Division. And it appears they're preparing for deployment. Thanks, everyone. Let me go see if I can get permission to start taking photographs. I wonder where Lieutenant General Vander could be. We need to find him so he can tell us what's going on here. I suspected you might show up. Lieutenant General, did you have some business to attend to elsewhere, sir? I thought I'd conduct another sweep of the area as a precaution. But never mind that now. You came at the perfect time. Freight train bound for Aurora departs 30 minutes from now. I want you all on board that train. Finish up your field study as quickly as you can and return to the academy. What? But, sir... While things ultimately depend on the actions of the Republican Army, the bottom line is that we may be mere hours away from armed conflict with the Calvard Republic. I've already informed everyone in the settlement. Did they not relay the message to you? Be that as it may, can't just turn tail and pretend none of this is happening. Lieutenant General, have you established which side attacked first? Gaius, that's the central question here. It's still under investigation. You have my assurance that the Imperial Army did not attack. We did not make the first move, nor have we retaliated. However, our army's watchtower was destroyed and several guards lost their lives. As the officer in charge of Zendigate, I have a duty to act. So there really were fatalities. Let's presume, for the sake of argument, that the damage sustained by the Republican Army's base was in fact deliberate sabotage by their own forces. How bad was the damage? Several of their facilities suffered major structural damage. Their losses appear to be at minimum equal to ours. Honestly, I'd estimate them to be far greater. But if they suffered even more damage than we did, it doesn't make any sense. I'm afraid we've long passed the point where leisurely discussion of our possibilities was an option. I will do all I can to avoid full-scale war, but we're prepared for the possibility of armed conflict. And I suspect they are as well. But that just seems so wrong. If that's your opinion, Lieutenant General, then you will at least allow me the chance to investigate what happened on my own. Triple dot. Gaius? Investigate on your own? As I'm sure you're aware, I know the Highlands like the back of my hand. When someone attempts to threaten the peace of my homeland, I won't rest until I've unearthed the truth behind what's happening. You're serious? We'll do everything we can to help you. I think this falls within the scope of our field study too. No, wait. This is the people of Nord's problem. There's no reason for you all to stay here and risk getting caught in the crossfire. As a classmate and a friend is staying behind? Isn't that reason enough? I am a son of the House of Alborea. I would never disgrace the honor of my family name by fleeing in the face of danger. Besides, it seems like your people have done a lot for my grandfather. Gaius, do you remember what you said to us back at Heimdall Station? The most important thing is that We'll come back safe and sound. Everything else is secondary. My own words against me. God damn it. It appears you've lost this one, Gaius. Lieutenant General, It's currently 10:05. I will permit you until 12:30 to conduct your investigation. I'll do everything in my power to postpone any potential conflict until at least then. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Then we haven't a moment to waste. We should begin by by visiting the Watchtower that was attacked. Sounds like a good place to start. I guess there's no rounds then.
Thank you. Really, I appreciate it more than you know.
It's no big deal, honestly. I agree with Elisa. We're classmates after all, and more than that, we're friends.
Well, this is clearly of great importance to you.
I know you want to protect your people, but that's not the only reason you're doing this, is it?
You got me. It ties back into why I accepted the Lieutenant General's recommendation and entered the Academy too. I'm sure each of you feels the same about your own homes, but I love this land with all my heart. The wind racing across the highlands, the vast mountain peaks, the clear blue of the sky, the breathtaking beauty of the rising sun, the melancholy of the sunset, the twinkling of the stars in the twilight. I love everything about this land of Nord. It's part of who I am.
Wow. I guess it hadn't sunk in how much Nord means to you.
I'm certainly attached to Ruhr, but I can't think of anyone else who would state their love for their homeland so poetically.
If you love it so much, why did you leave it behind? If you truly love Nord, if Nord is such a part of you, what is it that drove you to enroll in a military academy in a foreign land so far away?
I'm not surprised you'd find it strange. To be honest, I'm still not totally sure what compelled me to do it. Back when I was a kid, the Republican Army built a base in the Eastern Plains, and the Imperial Army responded in kind with their Watchtower. It's made me more uneasy with every passing year. Years ago, a traveling priest from the Septian Church taught me all about the history of the continent. One thing that stood out to me was just how many lives have been lost during the conflicts between the major powers. Another major theme was just how profound of an impact the Orbital Revolution had on people's lives. Even the concepts of time and distance have changed so much. In effect, the Orbital Revolution shrunk the world.
It's just strange thinking about how the world is right now. It's like, the world suddenly feels much bigger these days, doesn't it?
It made me realize a sad truth, one that kind of scares me even now. That there was no guarantee my homeland could stay at peace forever. That one day, it might be drawn into outsiders' conflicts and be occupied and redistricted into oblivion.
I can't believe you were thinking about such weighty things even as a kid.
So then, you joined the Academy in order to learn more about the outside world that posed a threat to your homeland?
Yeah, something along those lines. When I realized how afraid I was, I knew I couldn't close my eyes. I wanted to do something, anything, to protect this land.
That does kind of fit with what happens later when you think about it.
As luck would have it, I met the Lieutenant General. He's the one who told me about Thors Military Academy. One thing led to another, he offered me a recommendation, and before I knew it, I took him up on his offer. So there I was, green as grass, heading off to study abroad despite having no clue what life in the Empire was like. Thinking back on how it all came together, what you said is probably what I was thinking back then.
Honestly, I've yet to hear a student offer a more galvanizing reason than yours for enrolling at the Academy.
I have to agree. I don't know too many people who love their home so much that they leave it behind to find a way to protect it.
It's not a sentiment I can imagine many Erebonians feeling, that's for sure. But I think I finally understand.
I can think of one Erebonian.
Elisa? Just an idle thought. But having heard Gaius pour his heart out to us, there's no way we can just walk away from this. Not after the people of Nord gave us such a warm welcome and treated us like family. Indeed, I couldn't have asked for more.
Agreed. We'll get to the bottom of what's going on here and stop war from breaking out.
Nord may not be our home, but it's still an important neighbor. I'll do what I can to aid you.
Thanks, all of you. Really, thank you.
So again, feeds into that idea of like how this game changes your view of the Erebonians if you came from the previous arcs. I like that aspect. Because they were just the bad guys over there, and then it's like, well, not so much. You can see shell damage everywhere. It's even worse than I'd feared. And they've confirmed casualties too. I didn't think I'd ever have to see anything like this. As students at a military academy, things like this are always within the realm of possibility. Though I hardly expected my first sight of such devastation to be the spark that ignites war with Calvard. This may be too much for students like us to handle. No. We've all been in situations that looked impossible before, haven't we? And every time, come through. Just have to stay calm and think. I'm sure we can do something here too. You're right. True. Should focus on doing what we can. Whatever we decide to do, we need to get a better grasp of the situation. Yeah, let's find who's in charge and get their permission to start an investigation. I see. If Lieutenant General Vander has given you his permission, I see no reason to refuse. Thank you. However, I want to make it clear that the armed conflict with Calvard could begin at any moment. Got our hands full at staying on guard for any potential threat from the east. I'll permit you to speak with the soldiers here, but don't get in the way of them doing their duties. Understood. Okay, let's get started. We should start by speaking with the soldiers and assessing the damage. It seems wise. When we've gathered all the information we need, we can start piecing it together. Right, let's go. It's very much like just, again, thinking that concept about, let's do this one because I think this will look over at Calvard, you know, which is important. Oh no, it looks at the Watchtower. Great. Just want to look at Calvard. This is awful. It really is. Looks like they got hit hard. To think there were casualties. No, the Imperial Army isn't going to sit and twiddle their thumbs after suffering an attack like this. They have their image to uphold, after all. Hey. Looks like most of the damage is concentrated on the south side of the building. Think whoever carried out the attack could have done it from the Highlands? Seems very likely. Where on the plains could they launch an attack like that from? Well, the Highlands are incredibly vast. Need some kind of clue to even know where to start looking. Yeah, hopefully we'll be able to find something here that'll point us in the right direction. But yeah, speaking of that idea of like this game series, like the Cold Steel arc, the Erebonian arc, sort of like changes your view on the Erebonians if you've come from the previous arcs. It's like having gone through the arcs now, like to some degree, like yeah, we're still halfway through Crossbell, but you'll get what I'm on about. When I first was going through the Cold Steel games, it's very much like Calvard was the enemy over there. Like, they were the enemy over there. That was Calvard, it was over there. It was interesting, I wanted to learn about them, but they were over there. They were the villains. It's like, I had very few runnings in with them, but whenever we did, it was always in opposition, like now. But the same could be said. It's like, if we're changing our view of what the Erebonians are like, it's like, Calvard's not going to be bad guys either, are they really? Like, the few we've interacted with, it's like, they're not going to be the bad guys. They're just not. It's just, already got that changed perspective on Calvard without actually going to the Calvard arc. Yeah. Rowan, why'd you have to go and die on me? Sats. Seems pretty down. Can't say I don't understand how he feels, though. It was right when the shifts changed. Rowan came out to relieve me and I was chattering away with him like always. So when the first shell hit us, must have been around 3 in the morning. So it started around 3 then. Right in the middle of the night. I was on lookout. Should have noticed something was off, but that explosion completely took me by surprise. So sure nothing would ever happen out here that when something actually did. I was totally useless. I just paid a bit more attention. If I'd been a better soldier, Rowan might still be with us now. It's not your fault. None of us could have predicted that something like this would happen. You can hardly blame yourself for a lack of vigilance after being stationed in a peaceful area like this for so long. They attacked in the dead of night, knowing your guard would be down, at the exact moment you were going to have a transfer as well. It's like, wonder if it really was the Republic Army's doing after all. More information before we can say for sure. No, I don't think it was them. There was something else that happened before we came under attack. We had an explosion coming from the Republican Army's base. When we looked, we saw smoke pouring from it. What? We knew that both bases were attacked. But did both attacks really happen around the same time? That's so, it's unlikely that either army was responsible. Who is responsible then? We should keep this in mind as we piece things together. Again, it's like my mind would, based on like, just trying to view it from the aspect of like if you're coming to this arc not having played it previously, it'd very much be like, you'd be thinking society at this point, surely you would. Is this... What's up, Elisa? Is there something unusual about that scrap of metal? It's like anybody who did come through like the Sky games and the Crossbow games and then came to this, please do let me know like what your mind was thinking at this point. Like who did you think it was on your first time through? Like what were your thoughts? Because I'm interested in that aspect. I knew it. This is a mortar shell manufactured by the Rhineford Company. Are you sure? Yeah, I've seen them before on the assembly line. There are only a couple models capable of firing this kind of shell. That would suggest that the mortar used to fire it was also made by the Rhineford Company. But if we assume that's true, it seems much less likely that the Republic was responsible. Yeah, there'd be Vern, wouldn't it? True. Why would the Republican Army use a weapon made in the Empire? Doesn't make much sense to me. But if we account for deception, it seems unlikely that Calvard would go this far to conceal their involvement. Though considering the stakes, we can't entirely rule out the possibility. Still, this might prove to be an important clue to solving this mystery. Yeah, it's one of the major clues, I'd say. Okay, let's speak to you again. I was lucky enough to escape with barely a scratch. It wasn't really luck, because Rowan protected me with his life. Why, Rowan? I'd never be half the man you were. Couldn't you just save yourself? Don't know what to say. We should just focus on the investigation. That's all we can do for them right now. Dear oh dear. I lost some good friends last night. Still having trouble getting over it. Rowan might have been the hardest working soldier here. Can't believe he's just... gone. Please do what you can with your investigation. Why did they have to die? Let's check the door though, just in case. Nope. But there might have been like an exclamation or something, like a secret one. Keep telling Zatz and Manning to get some rest, but they just won't listen. Can't say that I blame them though. They're the only ones who survived the attack without suffering major injuries after all. Yeah, it's just like they... for a lack of a better way of putting it, it's like it's called that for a reason. They're shell-shocked. Yeah. We need to focus all our vigilance towards the east. You have my permission to conduct your investigation and speak with my men, but stay out of their way as much as you can. We need to re-establish our surveillance of the Republican Army as soon as possible. From now on, we of the Thermal Armored Division will be stationed here to take over surveillance duties. First and foremost, though, we need to get a thorough understanding of what's going on here. How's the situation with the Republican Army? Looks like they're really hustling over there. They've confirmed a number of armored vehicles entering and exiting the area. I've heard their base got hit pretty badly too. And even from over here, it sure looks that way. The Lieutenant General said that the Republican base got hit at least as hard as the Watchtower, if not harder. But we believe they were responsible for that as well. They needed an excuse to attack us. That sure as hell looks like one. Do you really think it's true? That much damage seems awfully excessive. They probably just got overzealous with the explosives. Doesn't make much difference either way. If they're brazen enough to attack us, we'll blow them back across the border. Soldiers here all seem to have their doubts. Without any hard evidence, we're not going to be able to convince them of anything. We should reconsider the possibility that this was a deliberate act of sabotage by Calvard's forces. Yeah, entirely possible. I think that's all the info we can gather here. I think so too. Now we need to analyze what we've learned. First, we should establish a good picture of what was happening when the attack occurred. Seems like the best place to start. So first of all, what time did the actual attack on the Watchtower happen? Around 3. It was 3 AM. Yes, that's what the guard told us. That wasn't all that was going on then. That's right, the Republican Army's base also came under attack. And according to the Lieutenant General, they suffered even greater damage than what happened here. I think we can safely discount the possibility that the Republican Army bombed their own forces then. But there's no evidence that the Imperial Army launched an attack either. All we know is that both attacks happened, and both sides took heavy damage. However, as Elisa said, we have no evidence to suggest that either side was responsible. If we accept that as fact, the most likely scenario is that the responsibility lies with another party entirely. So, you think a third party is working behind the scenes to provoke both countries into starting a war? Is that sort of thing of like, again, it's like I want someone's views on what they were thinking at the time, had they not known, sort of thing, like come from the previous games. Because it's that sort of thing of like, you could think the society, but then it doesn't really fit their MO, does it? Tensions between the Empire and the Republic are always high. Compared to other areas of similar political value, the North Highlands have always been peaceful. I can conceive of no reason either country would have decided to break that peace last night. I agree. If anything, it seems that the negatives would outweigh the positives of both parties. If this were Crossbell, it might be a different story, but here? Now that you mention it, we found something else odd about the attack on the Watchtower, didn't we? Something that seems to point to a third party's involvement. Something else odd about the attack on the Watchtower. I'll bet she's referring to this. Ah, yes, the area that was down. No, the weapon that was used, of course. I'm talking about the mortars used for the attack, right? Exactly. It looks like the orbital mortars they used in the attack were an old Rhineford model. And I, for one, find it pretty unlikely that the Republican Army is packing Erebonian-made weapons. Indeed. They have little reason to be, considering the Republic has its own major orbital technology manufacturer. The Verne Company, as I recall. Yeah. The Verne Company is responsible for manufacturing most of the arms used by the Republican Army. Then there's the fact that the mortar used here is old. The Imperial Army hasn't used this model for years. But that the military surplus sometimes makes its way onto the black market and ends up in the hands of mercenaries. Knowing that, it seems unlikely that either army chose to use it to cover their tracks. And again, placing myself in that mindset of like, what if I didn't know what was going on? It's like at this point I'd be really questioning, being like, well, it can't be the society because we know their technology is of a certain level that's far advanced beyond others, so it's like, why would they use old mortars? It makes no sense. There has to be something else going on, is what my mind would be doing. Quite. However, there is a far more pressing question we need to answer. What do you mean? I know where you're going. We need to know where the attack was launched from in the first place. That's going to be difficult to work out without that vital detail. All our speculation thus far is for naught. If we intend to avert a war, we need more than speculation. We need conclusive evidence. Agreed. But the Highlands are far too vast to just strike out searching blindly, especially with the Lieutenant General's deadline rapidly approaching. Actually, we may not have to start our search blind. If Elisa and Gaius will lend me a hand, I may be able to help. Huh? What do you have in mind? I can factor the location of the damage together with the speed and trajectory of the mortar shells, and then take into account the Highlands' winds, I may be able to estimate the area from which the mortar was fired. Potentially anyway. Are you serious? Sounds easier said than done. Just basic maths. I'll do what I can. Are you familiar with the specifics of the shell that was used? I think so. It's an old model, but I should be able to give you some rough data. That should be plenty. Anyway, let's have another look at those damaged areas and start our calculations. Please come with me, everyone. Right. Putting her bookmarks to the test. Alright, I think I've calculated a rough location. I believe the mortar was fired from a location to the south of here. Yes. Using the map as a reference point, that means it was likely launched from somewhere in this area. But according to my calculations, the launch site shouldn't be too far from here. Wow. Can't believe you managed to work that out. That's well beyond the level of mathematics we cover in class. I'll enjoy watching Regnus really sweat it out trying to best you on our next midterm. Just a little applied physics. I couldn't have done it without Elisa and Gaius' help. Looks like we've got a nice big piece of the puzzle right in our hands. Sure seems like it. Let's take off and start looking. Right. Reen and the others reported their findings to the soldier in charge and asked him to relay the intel to Zendergate. Afterward, they set out on horseback to begin their search. Alright, let's start looking for where the mortar was actually fired from. If what Emma calculated is correct, it should have been fired from a point south of the Watchtower. Most likely from a point that's easy to overlook so that it's not found out. Let's see if we can find it anywhere that fits that description. We'll likely need to rely on the map to help us. I wonder if the culprit could still be there. Regardless, we should see what we can find. Hey, over there. You found something? What's a rope ladder doing all the way up here? I can hardly believe its presence here to be mere chance. Did the people of Nord use this area for anything? Not that I've ever known of. This just got that much more suspicious then. Perhaps the mortar was fired from somewhere up here. Definitely seems worth a look. Just not sure how we're going to get up there. Can't reach that rope ladder from down here. See no way to climb up the cliff face itself, either. If you have any suggestions, now would be a fine time. I believe I have an idea. What if we were to make use of Elisa's orbital bow? My bow? How? Well, if you were able to hit the cord that's tying the rope ladder, perhaps it would unroll itself, allowing us to climb up. I'm glad you think I'm that good of a shot, but I really don't see it working. It was just a thought. Well, it's not like we have any better ideas. Why not give it a try? True enough. A Time is one resource we don't have much of right now. Searching for some manner of tool to pull it down would cost us precious time as well. Can't really argue with that. Alright, here goes nothing. Where's she storing these arrows anyway? Like, how big is this pocket dimension? That's what I want to know. Wait, what? It actually worked? You seem to have the makings of a great hunter. Seems this is a day for lucky shots. I have to start calling her Quick Draw Elisa. Was I just imagining things, or did that arrow glow for a second? Well, now that we can reach the ladder, why don't we go have a look at the top of the cliff? Yeah, let's see what's up there. Don't just chop the ladder. I mean, it's like, you know what, I'm just gonna chop this ladder, like, screw the evidence. It's war. It's war. So imagine that as like Reen just messing around with his sword, ends up starting a war. Like that would happen. There. Exactly the smoking gun we were looking for too. Well, well. Old mortars. Old right-foot models too. It looks like they've been used recently. So, this is where they were hiding them. You can see why they chose this place. You would think to look here. They must have fled the area after firing them last night, leaving the launchers where they were, which is a really stupid idea. But unfortunately, these alone do not furnish enough evidence to avert the war. You're right, unfortunately. If we just had a bit more evidence. Still, this is a solid step forward for our investigation. Perhaps we should return to Zendergate and let the Lieutenant General know. It sounds like a good idea. Alright, let's go report.